And hello, everybody. We promised that we were going to start tonight on time. It is on time right now. Welcome to the Out of the Green Room and to the financial education class. I'm John. I'm going to be with you here for the next approximately 45 minutes. Going to try to get you out of here on time tonight. Very, very important information. Obviously, what's going on right now in the stock market has us all concerned. It is affecting your estate, period in the story. Either you're in cash and not making anything, thank God, or you're in the market and getting hammered. There's cures for that. We're going to talk about some of those tonight. Wills versus trust and proper estate planning. Just because you have a will in the drawer or a trust in the drawer does not necessarily mean that you have an estate plan in place. So let's get those details. Greatest gift. How to avoid common estate planning mistakes. That's what we're going to talk about. Outlining your wishes and goals, things that you want to do, communicating those values and goals on. This is your estate. It's going to be passed along to future generations correctly if you plan ahead. It also can communicate your values and goals to those future generations. I have a client right now. We are not only taking care, we've already taken care of his children. We've taken care of the grandchildren, and now we're taking care of the great-grandchildren. And it's not taking them any additional assets. They got to stop losing assets. They need to stop planning assets, and they need to put in place communications in their trust of what's going to happen to future generations. They have plenty of money. They're just not managing it very well right now. Can you help your loved ones tomorrow? Yes, we want to have liquidity for today. You're in control of those assets, and we can have things that go into place for the grandkids in case something goes wrong. You just got to plan ahead. The elements and components of a real estate plan, we're going to go into that more. There is a lot more to it than that one piece of paper. And we'd like you to trust the process. There is a process here. You're going to meet a gentleman here in a second. He's not with me tonight. He has a event with his son, and they just got a new son, so they're doing something with his boy that they adopted. A wonderful child. Trust the process. He has spent 10 years of education and preparation just in estate planning to be able to help you. I'm the coach. He's the quarterback. You're going to meet him here in a second. Yes, I'm a certified financial educator. I've been in this business for 22 years. Before that, I was running a P&L for a large corporation for 20 years. I've got a team of experts that we're going to talk about tonight. CFAs, CFPs, MBAs, CPAs. That's what you need in your corner if you're going to put together a plan. You can sit with the wife or sit with the husband, and you guys can argue about it, and you'll come up with a decision. But wouldn't it be better if you had an actual plan that you could talk about? Well, we could do this or we could do that. What do you think is better for us? Tax deferred or tax free? Do we want to leave money to the charity and to the children, or how can we do that? We could leave a lot more to the children if we did this, and we could actually have it be tax free if we did that. So that's me. I'm just a coach. I love golf. When I get to play, I love my family. We all got doodles for some reason. We got billions of dollars worth of successes, hundreds and hundreds of clients. You can be one too. James Yurika, he's the guy. Look at that alphabet salad after his name. He wanted to be an estate planner when he was in high school, and he did everything in his power to get there. And he is one of the most intelligent people I've ever spoken to about estate taxes, estate law, all these things. He's not a lawyer. He's not a CPA. He's an estate planner. He's right now getting another certification. So he's going to have another set of initials after his name. So less than 10% of all advisors have a CFP, and you definitely want to work with a fiduciary. Our focus is on you. I built this team for you. When my dad died, I had to go out in search of all these things, and I found out that I needed an attorney. I needed a CPA. I need an insurance guy. I need a wealth management team. I need an investment team. I need investment managers. They wouldn't all go into a room and talk to each other, even if I paid them $250 an hour each. So we integrated that team into our network. This is some more of the team members that are here to assist you if we need to call on them. This is my high net worth team. They've been working for, actually that company's been investing through our investment advisory firm they've been in business for 45 years. So great deal. Personal story, real quick. Dad died at 56. Mom was 53. Never had written a check. Devastating. He wasn't ready. He had no plan. So we had to put together a plan. I'm in my 20s. I've got kids coming. I've got kids in the house. I've got a new house. I got a pool. I got all this stuff going on. I've got all these complications, and my father dies. So I got to take care of mom. I'm in Florida. My mom's in Chicago. We got her, we had to make some really, really tough decisions, but we got her there. But then she got Alzheimer's at 72. They said, good news, bad news. She won't live very long, but she won't really experience any discomfort because, of the Alzheimer's effects. She really doesn't know a lot of what's going on. Well, she lived till 90. That was very, very difficult. She had great health, thank God. She had wonderful care, thank God. But $5,000 a month of something certainly my dad had not planned on, she had not planned on, and I did not plan on. So thank God he helped me get through this and help her get through that. But it is something that we now are going to talk about, all these things. Your estate is there for you until you both pass. Then we worry about the rest. But let's worry about you. Let's protect your lifestyle for your lifetime, and then pass along, you'll see, a very nice estate to the kids. Again, we're going to talk about wills and trusts, but we're also going to talk about an estate plan. So who's our clients? Conservative investors. They want to protect their lifestyle. They don't want to bet the farm. They want peace of mind. They want to be proactive and informed. Communication is our number one key. That is what we hear from our clients more than anything, is the great communication. We meet with our clients every quarter. We have a face-to-face every year. We're open to learn and act just like you should be open to learn and act. Return on relationship versus just return on investment. Giving that money to somebody that promises they're going to do better than the last guy, that's not a plan. You got to be successful by choice. You can be unsuccessful by choice by not doing anything, not planning. So, what we all want, we want to be on the Love Boat. You got nothing to worry about. Everything's smooth. But are you on the Love Boat, or are you on the 3-hour tour into an island, shipwrecked for years? Most people are actually on that. What's your actual reality right now? Dow's down 30%, NASDAQ's down 40%, S&P's down 20%. I'm sorry, but folks, our clients aren't down 30%. They're not down 40%. They're not down 20%. Some of them not down at all, and some of them are actually up. We'll show you how that all works here in a little bit in part 2. So top 10 mistakes. Number 1 is planning to fail, do nothing. I can guarantee you 100% of the time, like the old joke about, there's a joke in Texas about Aggies, and we always talk about Aggies, that all short putts, 87% of the time, are not going to go in the cup. It's a joke. Well, 80% of the time is not the number. 100% of the time, you're probably going to plan to fail if you do nothing. You got to select the correct type of trust based on your specific needs. That's why we're going to have step 2. You got to properly fund the trust. We see trusts come in all the time. They're not notarized. They might be signed. They're not funded. Well, I thought that was really complicated. No, it's not. It's part of the whole contract. Right documents and the wrong beneficiaries. Some people don't understand IRAs don't go into a trust. I mean, there's just a lot of basics here that you're going to learn tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about tax planning, powers of attorney, medical and financial. For the spouse, it's really not that hard. But what happens if you're single? 90% of guys are going to die married. 90% of women are going to die single. We have to plan on that. That has to be in there so that your kids can take care of that, so your kids can pay the bills, so your kids can get to those funds. And no, we got to watch out for a couple of pitfalls that people fall into. Gotchas, like going on mom and dad's accounts. We just don't do those kind of things. So They forget their final arrangements, charities, the grandkids. They forget about what if you go into nursing home? We've got to plan on it. Now, if you don't go in a nursing home, in our traditional long-term care, you're going to pay for it forever. You're going to pay through the nose, and you're probably not going to use it. Current long-term care types of plans, if you don't use it, the money goes on to the kids. Costs you nothing. So failing to work with an advisory team that specializes in retirement. We only do retirement. Now, if you're 40, we'll get you to retirement. If you're 59 and a half, we'll talk to you about in-service transfers and getting you to 66 or 70 full retirement age and retiring. There's things that you have to do in that transition process that we're going to help you and guide you through that most people forget about. They sit around and talk about it, but they don't have data. So they both agree, husband and wife, on doing nothing, which is 100% going to be a problem. And then you got to update that plan frequently. Our group updates those plans for you. If there's a tax change, a tax law change, or a state law change, which remember the current estate tax exclusion sunsets in 2025. When those things kind of happen, we just automatically call and we update those things. So success is planned. Successful people plan. Step one is here. You're here tonight. How do you win a marathon? You got to take that first step and start working out. How do you eat an elephant? You got to take that first bite. That's really gross. Shouldn't use that one. Understand exactly where you are today. Know your needs, goals, and path to success. Take control, confidence, and communicate. That's a couple extra N's there, but that's okay. Got a special offer for you. This is part one. We're going to talk in generalities tonight. I don't know you. You don't know me. We might not like each other. We might. You might love what we do and love what our clients tell us that we've done that actually changed their lives. I'm going to talk about class part 2, which is going to be question and answers specifically about you. Where are you at? What are your needs? What are your goals? What are you looking to do? What are you scared of? How's it going right now in this volatile market? You know, a bunch of questions that will help you answer. And if you don't have the questions, we'll ask you the questions and see if maybe you don't want to find out those answers, like hidden fees, hidden expenses, different things that could be costing you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in your current lack of estate plan. That's something that you can't fix until you find it. So we're going to teach you how to find it. That's called financial education. Your Q&A, we're going to talk about retirement needs and goals. What do you want to do with that money? Some people want to spend it all. You know, the old bumper sticker in Florida. I'm out spending my kids' retirement plan. Well, you're probably not, because the goose lays the eggs. You spend the eggs, and they're still going to get the goose. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put an offer up there right now. My assistant, my producer. Hello, we're right here in the Lincoln Wealth studio tonight. Nice and comfortable. Hopefully you are too. Book a time and day on my Calendly link. Real simple. You click on that link or you cut and paste it, whichever is preferable to you or your computer likes to do. Mine gets a little touchy sometimes. You look at the dates that are in blue. Pick one that works for you. Pick the day, time that you like, 9 to 5, and on my Calendly link, and book the appointment. Now, quick suggestion. While you're thinking about it, write down comments and put those in the comment section about this concerns me. I want to know more about tax-free. I want to know more about probate. I want to know more, whatever you want to know about. And then we'll be able to talk about those things and a little bit more when we have that 30-minute, no charge. We never do charge for planning, by the way. No charge, it's no obligation talk about you. That's how we get to know each other and see if there's any reason we ever need to talk about that again. Now, also, stay to the end tonight, 45 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe to max, and I've got a free gift for you. Out of my pocket, Amazon will deliver it. I think you'll enjoy it. Everyone so far has. Tangible reasons for good estate planning. Avoid unnecessary legal costs and delays of probate, period. Why would you want to go through probate? Why would you want your estate listed in next to the obituaries in the newspaper? Nobody reads the newspaper anymore, but it's there. Public information. How to avoid additional unnecessary tax losses. Most people, the IRS, are number one on their beneficiary list. They don't know that. You get large IRAs, large 401k rollovers, etc., a large estate. One gentleman said he's going to pass along around 100 million. He's got a gigantic tax problem that the government is going to eat him alive. We just had a rancher sold his ranch for $25 million. He would have capital gains on that. Nope. Our tax people showed him how he could actually reinvest that money and defer or delay or eliminate that tax. A lot of different things when we move into retirement that we have to talk about, and taxes is one of them. Assuring your wishes is another one of them. What's your money? Just don't give it to the kids. You know, somebody out there might have a child that's like Lindsay Lohan. You don't want to really give that child that whole money. You don't have to. You can dole it out over time, and you can give something then left over to the grandchildren and institute something for the grandchildren that will actually go to the great grandchildren. You can make all those decisions. Your lawyer's not going to do it. They're going to write a document off of LegalZoom, and they're going to do whatever you tell them to do. Well, we're going to give you a list of things in your estate plan that you want to do. We'll help you with that. So protect your legacy. That's your number one thing we got to do. State tax exemptions are here. Now, remember, sunset is 2025. Everything goes back down to supposedly 5 million. It may be down to 1 in their current legislation in Washington, D.C. right now, that they'd like to eliminate it, and that they'd actually like to install a death tax. So when things happen, when you plan, let's plan on the future, unless you're going to die by 2025, which is a bad idea. Let's plan on actuality. Let's plan on worst case, and then let's update it along the time so that you make sure that you have everything included. You know, 22.8 is today, but that goes away. So let's not plan on that number. Some people use that as an excuse. Real reasons for estate planning, real simple. Relieve the loved ones from making those tough emotional decisions. My dad died while I was on a business trip in 3 feet of snow. I couldn't get home. I literally had a man on a small jumper plane surrender his ticket so I could go. I couldn't get on the plane. I couldn't get home. I had to get home. What the first thing I had to do? I had to go make arrangements to bury my dad. That all can be done in advance, folks. It can all be done to your wishes as well, and make those just emotional decisions now. So then at that day, kind of like the Queen of England, but on a much smaller scale, all those things are prepared. Second, avoid and reduce the family tensions and potential infighting. I've got a client that called. He's remarried to a gal. They've both got children on both sides. The children don't get along. They don't have a trust. I guarantee you, something happens to the two of them, there's going to be a gigantic fight, and it's probably going to be in court. Lawyers at probate have to prove you wrong, not prove them right. And we want to avoid lawyers and judges deciding what happens to your estate, which is what's going to happen at the end. You don't have a will, you don't have a trust, and that daughter of your ex-wife's comes to court and says you promised her $250,000. You have to prove her wrong. I've seen people in court for 6, 8, 9 months. I had one client that was in court against her husband's previous marriage children. She had spent tens of thousands of dollars, and her lawyer at that time was actually saying, I think you should just give them half and just be done with it. Our lawyer came in, board certified state attorney, and got the case thrown out in 2 weeks for $9,000. Done. We don't want those decisions to be made. You can make those decisions now, and your loved ones transfer through their loss peacefully, following your plan. They do what you say. My son's in charge of mine. My daughters, if they have needs, he's gonna help administer those needs and make sure that everything's taken care of. Granddaughters have problems, we're gonna take care of those. There's tools. Yeah, there's a will and a trust, which has clear disposition of your assets. You've got to list them all, everything. Current and accurate beneficiary designations. So your husband was married before, and for 20 something years, his wife was on all of his 401k, IRAs, and life insurance plans. Did he change them all over? Because if he didn't, when he dies, I don't care what your trust says, that beneficiary designation trumps the trust. That is the only thing in the world that trumps a trust, which is a beneficiary designation on a qualified plan or on life insurance. I'm not giving legal advice. It's just common sense from our legal team. You've got to make sure those beneficiary designations are correct, because IRAs and life insurance, et cetera, does not belong in a trust. One case with from a very prominent doctor. He said, "John, there's nothing you can do for me. My trust is perfect." I said, "Good." I said, "Do you own life insurance?" He said, "Sure I do." I said, "How much?" He said, "Millions." I said, "Okay, so do you have an ILET?" "What's that?" Gotcha. His trust is confetti now. He has a new trust. He has an ILET that moves those assets outside of the estate. We saved his family gigantic amounts of extra taxes if the tax laws go back on the sunset provision in 2025. And now he has a true estate plan. Now, he had a prominent attorney, great attorney. The attorney didn't know anything about what he was really doing on the estate planning side. He knew the law. He didn't know the estate planning side. Transfer on death, immediate. Probate can take years, months, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it could happen immediately on death and nothing changes, exactly the way you wrote your trust. Durable power of attorney for finances and health care in case of disability. You had a stroke. Your husband has died, and you need medical assistance. Well, can the kids really make those decisions? Without a power of attorney, they can't. If they have to make tough decisions. I had a client just recently that had to make very, very tough decisions. They had to actually do the proverbial pull the cord. They also had to pay for services. So they had to access her accounts at the bank. They have a springing power of attorney that sprung into play, and they could go take funds and make funeral arrangements and pay all those bills and take care of her needs. On the other side of the equation, if you get better, they spring back and you're back in control. So that's just part of the actual process. Also, per capita versus per stirpes. Had many clients that love their daughter's husband, who is father of their grandchildren. But if their daughter, God forbid, passed, they would want their estate to bypass the husband and go to the grandchildren. That is called per stirpes. Per capita is going to follow right along and go to whoever is in line. Per stirpes is going to go actually to the grandchildren and bypass the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law. Something that we can talk about when we get together, what's going on inside of your family. Probate court. It's a nightmare. It's expensive. It's unnecessary. It's 100% avoidable. If you have over $100,000 worth of an estate, I saw a lawyer wrote this recently, you need to have a trust. Simple. Because the weight and power and the cost of the trust is so much better than the will at $100,000, because you're going to pay more in the end with probate fees and without lawyer fees to go through probate than you would just to have a trust. So it's the legitimacy of the will is really what's at question here. And typically, I'd say 90% of them are not accurately written. They're not up to date. And there's real easily to legally get that will thrown out. You hear about it on TV all the time. That's the first thing they do, is they attack the legitimacy of the will. Assets are made public, claims are filed, judge decides what happens with yours. I don't want that. I want to have a trust and have it done my way. Usage, assets are passed via will or when no will exists. And again, it's something that someone else is going to decide, and we want to avoid those expensive, often lengthy periods of time and delays of probate. A lot of people don't know, to get a death certificate and get it filed and get it back sometimes takes up to 90 days. So nothing can happen on a will for at least 90 days, and then you got to go to probate. So living trust revocable. Probably the most used trust. There's many others, though. People know living trusts are revocable and irrevocable. They don't know about a whole bunch of other trusts that we talk about all the time for different types of needs. for a handicapped, disabled child, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pass-through trusts and family living trusts and all these different things. It gets complicated as your assets become complicated. So it manages the assets of the grave. And basically, in the bottom line is you can change that trust. You and your wife can change that trust up until the time that the second of you passes. So if you pass, the wife can change things to accommodate. Once she passes, it becomes irrevocable, and it must be carried out in the way that you designed it. So you can change it, blah, 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 blah. It's harder to contest, all those good things. Now, it doesn't save on estate taxes. It's more complex to draw up and manage, but, it's really, really simple. It's what everybody does these days. Irrevocable, basically high net worth people that can carve off a piece of their assets now. They've got $60 million. They probably only need about $10 million to support their lifestyle handsomely for the rest of their lives. Take that 50, that other remaining amount over and put it in an irrevocable and launch it now and do things to minimize estate taxes. And that's very complicated. That's why we have step 2. Please, right now, let's take a little bit of a break. Write down on your pad if you are looking at if you think that your revocable is correct for you or irrevocable. Write down any complications that you might have. And then please go to my link. I'm going to bring that back up. Go to my link and book an appointment. And then in the comments, tell me those things. Because if you do have a very large estate, I'll have James on the call with us, that first 30-minute call, because he can answer those complicated questions. I can do all the good stuff to see if we like each other and if we want to work together. But he can actually answer the complicated stuff. So put that in the comments, please, and book that appointment now. Because if you have to leave, please go ahead and book that appointment. Let's spend 30 minutes together. It's no cost. It's no obligation. Let's learn a little bit about each other. 60% of the people say, I made the appointment, but I really don't think you can help me. And I would say at least half of them, folks, do have problems, do need help. It's not always what we know and what we don't know. Sometimes it's the illusion of what we think we know. That's the most dangerous thing that I've seen. Want to protect the asset from Medicaid spend down? Well, that's broke people. That's very difficult. That's an elder law attorney, but that actually is something that you can do for grandpa and grandma if they're really, really old. We had a 90-something-year-old couple, and they didn't really have any money left, and the kids really didn't have enough money to pay for the nursing home, so they wanted to put them in a state home. I think it's horrible. They had way more than enough money to pay for it. My mom was in a private home and did wonderfully. Christian home. It was great, great, great. So it was something that we have to talk about. But it is a firm decision. It is done. Once you sign it, it's done. It ain't going back, even while you're alive. Special needs trust, again, for disability. Do have several clients that have a disabled child. We don't want to affect their aid. So you have to set up a special needs trust. James can talk a little bit more about that if you have. Please put that in your comments when you book the Calendly appointment, please, and run over there and get that done right now so we know about that, because that's a part of the equation that gets complicated, and we need to talk about a list of separate questions that James is better at than I. Durable power of attorney, we already talked about those. You got to nominate someone. Usually it's your spouse, and then it passes along to the kid. And always have a secondary, because what if you're in a car accident and your wife is with you and she's your durable power of attorney? Got to have a secondary. So always have a secondary in all cases, just in case something happens to your primary. Advanced directive for healthcare and living will. My mom had a DNR in hers, and she said, if I ever have really, really bad problems, if something happens to me, I don't want to be kept alive. She was healthy as a horse. She just had Alzheimer's. So she died of natural causes at 90, 18 years later. So basics of a good estate plan: a living trust, revocable or irrevocable. That's the basics. There's some complicated ones for people who have special needs. Durable power of attorney, advanced healthcare directives, and current beneficiaries. And the advanced healthcare directives are, let's plan on where those funds come from. We have In around 5 years ago, insurance company came out with basic types of insurance that if you put money in, it has a huge availability for paying for long-term care. But if you don't use it, then those funds pass along to the children. It really basically costs you nothing. So you don't have to go through traditional long-term care, which is very expensive. And I've seen the rates go up 67% per year. So they want you to leave. If you've been in it for 10 or 15 years, you've paid your dues in, but you're still pretty young. You really have to make a real decision. Do I want to keep this or not? Higher net worth people, we normally don't. We go with the asset-based. Write that down if you're interested, asset-based long-term care. And we can talk about that when we get together. Common excuses. I did not know we would die. I had someone tell me the other day, funny guy, 73 years old, computer software writer. So you got to say he really saw some changes in his lifetime. But he said, John, I'm terminal. I said, oh my God, you are? He said, yes, every day I'm getting older and one day closer to dying. I said, I'm going to use that one. You're terminal. That's a horrible expression, but he is terminal. We all are. We're all going to die someday. It's too complicated. So one lady said, well, wait a minute. If I put my trust into a deed of trust and then into the trust, and then I want to sell it, I got to take it out. I got to get, no, you don't. You just sign as a trustee. The only thing different when you sell that house or buy that house, you on the signature, you put TTEE. That's it. It's real simple. So what we don't know and what we think we know can hurt us. Go ahead and book that appointment. Let's go 30 minutes and let's talk about those concerns. What if we want to sell our house? Too expensive? No, it's not too expensive. The trust is very, very reasonable. And if you look at the actual cost of probate, it can be tens of thousands less. We can't control the life and the markets, but we can control our course. There's three things in this business that I can't really help. Sick, broke, and I can't say that word. People that don't want to make smart decisions. They want to believe what they see and nothing else, even when it slaps them in the face. I lost $307,000, John, in August. Do you want to fix that? No. I've always lost money. It comes back. Folks, I can't fix that. I really can't. Because if you had $1 million, now you got 700,000, and then you got to wait to get back to $1 million. I'd rather have $1 million, don't lose $300,000, and now I've got $1.3 million. It just makes more sense to me. I'm sorry, or $1.5 million. The math just really doesn't support that, but I can't fix that. I can try. We are financial educators, not psychologists. So we can adjust. We can direct our course. I drove someplace last week to see a pastor, a director of missions, actually called a DOM, head of a huge Christian association. And I'd never been to that town before. Well, what'd the first thing I do? Take out and got the address. Took my GPS out, entered the address where I'm starting at, entered the address where I'm going. It gave me 3 different routes, told me about those routes, gave me an update on how many traffic problems there were and how many police there was and how much construction there was. And I picked the right route. Same thing that we do in estate planning. Pick the correct route and then adjust your course along the way. I wanted to stop and get gas. It took me to the right gas station, put me right back on the course. I wanted to get a coffee, took me off, found me a coffee, got me right back on course. So estate plan involves way more. Will versus trust, we talked about that. RMD to the beneficiaries, we got to check those spousal and non-spousal IRA transfers. Remember, the Secure Act changed our ability to pass along IRAs and qualified funds to our children past the spouse. Used to be RMDs for life, and now it's shortened. So we have to, for higher net worth people, large IRAs, we have to look at different types of alternative. Tax minimization. I don't know anybody that actually, they may say it, but they don't do it. wants to pay more tax. We all want to pay less tax. And a lot of people pay unnecessary taxes. Why? Don't do that. Estate transfer and asset transfer. Transitioning those assets starts now. If you're 70, you're already in the transition phase, which means somebody's going to get something somewhere. Now, the more estate that you have, the larger transition you have. We have a couple, they want to give $20 million to each one of their daughters, 2 daughters. We're not only going to give $20 million to them, it's going to be tax-free. And we're going to pass along that or more to each one of their grandkids through proper tax planning now, today. They got to make moves today that's going to change their future forever. Their 70s, they lived in 90s. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars with benefits. Their children get the money tax-free, and then they live till their 90s, maybe 100. Time magazine had a picture of a baby on the cover, and they said the first person who's going to live till 125 years old has already been born. So imagine the tax advantages extending for 2 generations, tax-free. How much tax could be saved by a good decision made today? And that's going to be outside of the estate. So we've also prevented that. Nursing home, long-term care final expense, something you need to be involved in and you need to control. It is your money. That asset transfer happens when you both pass, or when you pass if you're single now. If you're single now, you have to have a trust in place, because who's that money? I have people call all the time that don't have children. Where's the money going to go? Oh, I don't know. We'll just leave it for the family. We'll give it to, what about charity? Oh yeah, we could give some to charity. That's why you have a trust, to spell those things out. And those monies can actually donate to that trust for a long time. You don't have to give it all at once. You could put it into account and they get the proceeds off of it every single year. And then the last thing is, life insurance. Everybody thinks that it's too late for life insurance. Well, guess what? It's not. It's the proper time. It's when you're going to die. And don't forget, estate plan takes care of you and yours during your lifetime, not just your kids. Write that down. What do you need for the rest of your life to get through life? How have your experience have been? Have you been like me and had a mom that was in nursing home? Then you know how devastating it could be. $5,000 a month for 16 years. She lived with us for 2 years until she was letting the dogs go out the front door, not the back, into the street. Mom, you can't do those things. My housekeeper couldn't take care of her when we're at work anymore. So, asset protection. Why do you want to lose money in retirement? You won the game. It's like Babe Ruth getting up out of the stands, putting his beer and his popcorn down, handing his hot dog to his wife, and going out there and trying to hit the ball over the fence. The only thing he's going to do is fall down, hurt his back, and embarrass himself. You've won the game. Enjoy the asset. Now, the first million or 10 million is the most difficult. The next is very easy. It's called compound interest over a long period of time. Albert Einstein called that the greatest mathematical discovery. Launch it and let it go, but don't lose it. Growth plan, good times and bad times. We have clients that haven't been in the market. They've not in for the last 3 months, but they're in a plan that pays 13%. Just buy a little tiny company that's got hundreds of billions of dollars, and the company who manages it has hundreds of billions of dollars. This is what rich people do. I didn't know about that. Yay, that's the reason for part 2 meeting. Book that appointment right now. Tax minimization plan. You want to pay unnecessary taxes? Go right ahead. You want to not pay them? Let's plan it. Asset transfer plan. How do we transfer these assets most efficiently to your family or to your charities or whoever you want it to go to, and give them the largest amount possible? And most people are surprised when they see a true plan when they die at 92 or 93 of how much money they're going to leave. They're living like they're broke for no reason. Live it up. Have fun. These next 10 years are your best 10 years. That's the go-go years. The next following 10 is the slow-go years, and the next 10 years is the no-go years. So enjoy your assets now while you can. This is not the time to retreat, folks. Be proactive and take action. You can do something or you can do nothing. You know the old joke about there's people who act and are successful, people who think about it, and people that talk about it. Be the one who does something. Now, when we give you a plan of action that you can take, we're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to tell you what you can do. What are your options? First, let's target and understand how you can find hidden, costly flaws in your current estate plan. Things that you need to worry about and you need to fix right now. Once you see them and expose them, now you can fix them. Until then, you can't. So, way to start the process. And gentleman asked me the other day, very, very intelligent guy, Lee, what a wonderful guy. He said, John, I need to understand this more. I don't understand. How do we proceed? Real simple. 30-minute one-on-one Q&A. I'm not going to charge you for it. We got bought by an $11 billion company, and they have all these fancy people at my disposal that I can use to help you, and they don't charge me for them. And if they don't charge me for them, I'm not going to charge you. Now, we don't work for free. We have options that I'll explain at the end of the 30-minute one-on-one. If you think that we need to help you find these problems, and if I think we can help you, it's not everybody that we're going to help. I'm not going to sit and argue with someone that they lost $307,000 and they're okay. I'm not going to argue that. I'll write it down and I'll move on to the next topic. But if everything's an argument, I don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. I want to work with people who are like-minded, who want to succeed in retirement and in an estate plan. And that sometimes makes challenges. The gentleman who I'm talking about, who's the greatest guy on earth, he told me in his comments, already got an advisor. And when after we get done with our 30 minutes, he said, I really don't have an advisor that I need. I have an investor. I don't have an advisor. There you go. So we're going to communicate about your Q&A, retirement goals and needs. If you don't know the questions, I'm going to ask you the questions. I've done this 15, 20, 30,000 times. I don't know. Too many to believe. But first thing that has to happen is you got to do right now. You got to book a time and day on my calendar link, period and story. Nothing happens until we can talk. You might listen to the whole 30 minutes. You might learn 5 things and you might go do them. God bless. I accomplished my mission, which was financial education and to correct things that people do commonly wrong that are costing your family tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars. Book that appointment. It's 30 minutes. It's complimentary. I don't charge for the follow-up appointments. We'll talk about those options for planning. We don't charge clients for those follow-up meetings and planning roles, complicated planning roles, depending on how your state is. We don't have to charge for those, but you do have to come. We got to talk. So let's talk about where you're at and what you'd like to do, and we'll help you try to get there. Now, book a time and day on the Calendly link before you leave, and I'm going to give you a free gift. I promise you a free gift, and I always come through. So part 1's done tonight. Part 2, you're going to book that appointment right now. Part 3 is I'm going to give you a gift. Ed Butowski wrote this great book that I think everybody should read. If you think that losing money in the marketplace is a good thing, Ed Butowski is going to tell you that that's a marketing plan. They plan that. Oh, it'll come back. You don't really lose money until you sell. That is all baloney. A Wall Street insider on the dirty secrets of financial advisors and how to protect your portfolio. Everyone should have this book and read this book, Ed Butowski. I will send you one from Amazon. My compliments. Constrained Investors, Dave Macchia. You got an limited income. He's probably done, I think, 100 different speaking engagements on Constrained Investor. He's a converted Wall Streeter to retirement and saying, it's the most powerful concept in retirement planning that I've ever read. And I've been in this business for 22 years. I'm no genius. Dave Macchia is. Everyone should read that book. It's on Amazon. I think it's about $15. And then for high net worth people, The Power of Zero. Dave McKnight wrote a great book He's Ed Slott Advisor. Ed Slott is the guru of taxes in America. Really, really great information here on how to minimize your tax and how to maximize your estate and value to your children. Not passing along a tax burden, you're passing along a tax advantage. Now that takes a plan. Either one of those books that you'd like at the end of our conversation is yours, free from me. Personally, I will pay for it. Amazon will deliver it, and no obligation from there. Now, I would hope that you'd read something in it and you would like to do business. That's how we pay the bills around here, but that's up to you. First of all, I want you to be educated. So let's go ahead. Total cost of a traditional, just a 10,000 foot estate plan is around $1,200. We're not going to charge that either. So if you do move forward, you say, wait a minute, I do want to see more. I would like to see an estate plan. What's that going to cost me? Not going to cost. We don't charge clients for complimentary services. My company doesn't charge me for that CFA, CFP, MBA, CPA. I don't charge you either. I don't have to, but we got to work together. We have to have an agreement that we're going to work together. It's complimentary. I don't know where we're going to go. That's a little bit premature, but people say, well, wait a minute, he's hooking me into this free 30 minutes so he can get me at the end. No, we're not going to get you in yet. I've never sent an invoice out for putting planning together, estate plan together. Don't have to do it. Now, if you want a trust, we will introduce you to a trust company or a trust attorney who will write it. We don't do them. We help you put the estate plan together that you take to the attorney, and he writes the trust based on everything that you need. Our trusts are about 1.5 inches thick. There's a long list of very simple questions that you're going to be asked, that you answer them, and that's going to tell the estate planner what to put in your trust. Because if you don't tell him, he's not going to put it in. It's not going to be there. So thank you. We're done. Thank you for staying with me, for everybody who stayed with me, for everybody who's booked an appointment. I saw a bunch of appointments booked. Thank you very much. Going to be very, very busy next week. I'd like to tell everybody, this is my last one for a while. We are swamped with work right now. I'm not going to do another webinar for a while. Not going to do another financial education class for a while. So take this opportunity tonight. It's not going to be around again for a while. We will send you a copy of the recording in case you missed some of it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you booking an appointment. I'm going to leave this up for a couple of minutes, and I would like you to book that appointment right now. Write down also my email address, John, John, @lincolnwealth.com. You can email me anytime, and we will send you a complimentary thank you email for booking your appointment and a confirmation. Thank you very much. Have a good night. See you all later. Bye-bye.